Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
It is January.
It is.
And so today we're going to talk about privacy protection and data mining in particular. And so what comes to mind when you hear the words data mining?
Well, data mining is how companies gather and analyze information about the digital traces we leave behind, from what we buy to where we go.
And so ever wonder why an ad for something you just searched shows up in your feed? That's data mining at work.
Your data helps companies predict your behavior, like what you'll buy next, and they make big money doing it.
Like billions of dollars worth of big money.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might think, I don't share that much online. But the truth is, your devices share a lot for you. Like your location, what you search for, and even how long you look at a post.
Every app, website, and platform you use collects this data to learn more about you.
And so what happens when the wrong people get access to your data? Things like identity theft or fake news campaigns can become big problems.
And that's why it's so important to know who you're sharing your information with and how to protect it.
And so not all companies play fair. Some trick you into sharing your data or sell it without your knowledge.
For example, have you ever downloaded a free app that asks for access to your contacts or photos? That's one way businesses can get more info than they need.
And so your data isn't just valuable, it's a product. Companies buy and sell it just like any other commodity.
And we're not talking about pocket change here. Your data fuels industries worth billions of dollars every year.
The good news, you have control over your data. Start by using strong passwords and adjusting your privacy settings on all of the apps that you use.
And remember, if it seems too good to be true, your data might be what they're really after.
And so your data is part of your identity. Knowing how it's used helps you make smarter decisions online.
When you're aware, you can protect yourself and make sure your data doesn't get used in ways you don't agree with.
And so that's why it's really important anytime that you go to a website or use an app that you check out the privacy in terms of use to see what they're doing with your data.
That's a huge thing. Third-party companies, the website might be free to use, but they're really taking all of your user data, making their money by giving it to, or selling it to other companies.
What did you call those? Cookies?
Yes, I did.
And so what are cookies, Joel?
Great question. Cookies are delicious. No, I'm just joking. Cookies are actually small packets of data that these websites collect. They're your, how you've used the tool, where you've spent most of your time, how your settings are set up, part of your personal information. Then they use those cookies to create profiles, which they can then share to create passive audiences online.
And so Joel, really quick, lots of times when we visit websites, there's a pop-up that says accept or decline. Can you
That's
tell me
actually
more
a new
about
thing.
that?
Yeah, that's part of that transparency piece that is now becoming a bigger part of the online space. When you have an opportunity to manage your preferences, you can either accept the cookies for performance, for required, for preferences, but you can also reject them. And my personal preference is to reject.
Absolutely. Do not select accept all. Read through it if you're unsure as to what's there. If you want to customize it, so that maybe it's not really sharing any personal information, maybe just how long you're on something.
And we can just take it one step further, start looking at those ChatGPT and generative AI tools. If you're in that space and you're wondering, why is this tool free? Well, the reality is we are the ones, as we're querying and interacting with these large language models, our information goes in and feeds and helps it train those large language models in order to sound more like a human. And so even though it costs a lot of money for these companies to actually have this computing power to handle these queries, we are actually doing them the service by interacting with it.
Which is why, again, it's really important to not put any sensitive or personal or private information into those, even information for building a resume. Don't ask them to build you a resume. You put a lot of personal information into those tools when you ask that question.
Great point.
And so with that,
teachers, we have some resources for you. Grade 10, we're looking at how do companies store that data and what do they do with this data machine? Grade 11, this is something we looked at before, but how do we understand the new technology and the risks that are involved in it? And then in grade 12, this is an article that unpacks business and media's influence in our online world to help us understand the intention behind what we see. We'll see you all next month. Have a wonderful January.